Hey guys, and welcome back to the theBSofSociety. So this time I recorded a little bit of night battles for Girls Frontline, so that way you can see my issues with it. Um, as you'll notice in the gameplay in the background, um, as I said, you pretty much have to deploy with handguns first, and you'll see why in a minute. Um, You'll notice that an enemy captures the point next to the headquarters, and we can't see it because the T-Dol or the echelon there, doesn't have a handgun with it, so you can't see the enemies. You'll also notice that an enemy that's usually spawns, I believe, in the top right corner, ended up moving down instead of to the left, like it's done almost every single time I've done that stage. And this is what I mean by enemies pretty much being unpredictable in night missions and is part of the problem. And you'll notice that I have to complete this by the end of turn 3. Basically, if I don't defeat all of the enemies by the end of turn 3, and, again, the enemies will still have their turn after turn 3, the stage fails. Now, this time I actually end up beating it before the end of turn 2, which was really surprising to me because that's like the first time I've actually done it that way. But usually I end up basically getting all the way through to the end of turn 3 before I actually finish it. And that's where I'm just like, you don't get enough moves for this map, you know? And, that's pretty much the general problem with night missions. Not only that, but you'll also see basically me moving off of the helipad and basically clicking on it to show you that I can't deploy anybody because you can't see the heliport, which again just makes no sense to me and basically means you have to deploy an echelon with a handgun. So if you are a new player and the game doesn't tell you that you pretty much need a handgun, and I think it does mention it quite often, but like what if you don't want a handgun in an echelon? Maybe you want MGs and shotguns, right? Oh, sorry, you have to have a handgun. Maybe you want just the AR team. Oh, sorry, you have to have a handgun. Like that is like the worst mechanic you could have put into the game. Like, let snipers have some night vision. I mean, they do have a scope or something to that effect because that is just extremely tedious. Um, Anyways, the Girls Frontline gameplay should be over, so let's get into the next topic, which is basically equipment. As you noticed on night missions, you get equipment, not T-Dolls, right? So that is basically the one source that you can get them from. When you get through night mission 1 dash, what is it? 1 dash 4, you are able to start making equipment. And I believe you can also enhance equipment at that point as well. Once you get to 2-4 and complete that map, you gain access to equipment calibration, which is where you also get the defense drill mission in the battle sims. Now, the issue with night missions, if you notice the strength when I was clicking on the mission, is the strength goes up pretty fast. And the problem is night missions, you generally have less strength than you would on normal missions. And I feel like it's a little annoying at the beginning to unlock calibration. And, you figure equipment basically is what affects your... Equipment basically further increases your strength. So being able to get it is very important. Now, keep in mind, you can't equip all 3 pieces of equipment until your T-Dolls are at level 80. So it's not like it's very detrimental or anything. But if anybody's trying to rush through night missions, they'll have a very, very hard time. Especially if they're trying to progress through the story a little bit more linearly. in a sense of progressing through the story as you unlock it, not waiting 3 or 4 chapters later on because you can't do night missions. You know what I mean? And that's kind of the position I'm finding myself in. So, you know, um, night missions are good to basically farm for equipment XP. The last stage on all of the chapters do have like a unique piece of equipment that goes to a specific T-doll. But besides that, you're pretty much not going to farm night missions at all. And you can pretty much use your equipment contracts to get the equipment that you need. Not only that, but every day, if you're enhancing your equipment properly, you get 4 universal parts. And if you do your exploration, which I can get into when I get into the dorms, um, you can get universal parts from there to get XP for your equipment pretty easily. So now you can basically see my general issues of night missions. I mean, I understand why they're set up the way they are, but I feel like it could have been implemented a little better, especially since you can't see how many enemies there are, and the enemies are very unpredictable in their movements. Um, I feel like they should have just made another headquarters type objective in night missions as well. I think that would have made things a little less annoying. Um, with that, I'll get into fairies in the next video. Later.